Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker, and you are listening to Picks and Pours, episode 40. We made it 40 episodes of this thing where my buddy Matt the Mechanic comes on to make his picks for the upcoming UFC card. And I do my best to ridicule him, even though I'm usually wrong. You guys heard the trumpets on the intro there. That's because it is Matt Steamroller Frivola Fight Week. And I hope everybody else is as pumped as I am to see the Steamroller take over Paris at UFC Fight Night 243. Before we get into any of that, let me introduce from all the way across town, awaiting the same hurricane that I am, Matt the Mechanic. What's going on, Matt?
Not much, Bill. I spent all my day battening all my hatches, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, same. So we're over here awaiting, is it Helene?
Yeah, and that's another, that should have been my hot take. Have you ever met somebody named Helene?
I haven't.
I've never heard of that in my life.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're trying to come up with some original names. It's better than what some of these parents are naming their kids these days. I'll give them that much.
Point.
I'll give the meteorologist credit on that. They didn't name it like kale.
Yeah, it's kind of like remember when we were kids. Well, people our age in school. I don't know. We had a bunch of Haleys and Kayleys. Did you know that? You know why?
Sure. Why?
Because Halley's Comet was in '86.
Ah.
Yeah, fun fact.
That's a little after my time.
Oh, what? 2 years, 3 years.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
No Haleys in my graduating class. So we're awaiting this hurricane, and you know as well as I do where we live here in the Tampa Bay area. We're typically, I don't want to say safe, and I don't want to jinx anything, but typically these hurricanes tend to skip around or through the Tampa Bay area, whatever it is, whatever the geographical reasoning is. The hurricanes don't really come into the bay. They tend to ricochet and go and hit the panhandle. So yeah, we're being prepared, of course. You know, we've stocked up on food and water and booze. And we take it seriously. You know, I tied down the furniture in the yard and trash cans, weighed them down, all that stuff. But I wouldn't say I'm worried or anything. I think there's some people up in the panhandle that are going to get hammered way worse than we're going to see it. So hopefully all those people are taking all the precautions and evacuating if need be. But I think we're going to be all right over here.
It's a lie from Satan, brother.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I'm kind of annoyed with the media on this one. Go figure, because my mom's up in New York and calling me like, oh, you know, they're making it seem like the apocalypse is coming in Florida. And it's some of these news stations are calling this a tropical storm, while others are like, oh, it could be a Category 4 hurricane. So it's like, why is there that broad of a spectrum? Obviously, some of these people are lying.
Well, it is a hurricane, and the reason why people get the tropical storm confused is because they're talking about tropical storm winds,
right?
But it's still a hurricane. It's just we won't feel the big, like the brunt effect. I kind of feel a little bit different on this one. I think they reacted a little less than they usually do. I mean, usually we have 5 days, and you know, everyone's at the gas pumps. I'm in my job. I'm driving around all day yesterday and early this morning, and there's not really a rush for gas or anything. But it is a big storm. But
yeah,
I do agree that the media blows up. Yeah, well, they gaslight everything,
sure.
So what's different with the weather, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, just give us the information we need. You know, what areas need to evacuate? Exactly how strong is this thing going to be? How worried should we be? Don't make people feel like, you know, the whole state of Florida is going to die, because my mom calls me thinking like that's what's going to happen based on watching the news.
I'd like to get my hurricane info from a guy named Mike's Weather Page. He's here in Oldsmore, Florida. He's a local guy. He's just got an account, and he's been doing it for several years, and he does shoot it straight, and he's got a lot of information on his webpage, and he's grown to like 1 million followers now. And earlier this week he said that DeSantis even called him for his opinion, and that's where I'm getting at is his opinion, and this would be the worst storm that's ever made landfall in Florida.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now he's speaking as the whole entirety of Florida, not just a specific area, but he's very concerned about widespread power outages and things like that. But yeah, that's his
Okay.
webpage. He's got all kinds of stuff. I know he's out storm chasing today, but he's a really good resource.
Yeah. I got this. I pulled this up here. So for those of you who are audio only, I'm showing Mike's weather page here. And the website is actually spaghettimodels.com. Do you know the story behind that?
Well, it's a hurricane spaghetti models.
Okay.
He started, with 10 years ago, his website only had like the spaghetti models, and I guess that's what but not, yeah, he's got an old, like his whole network he calls the Brew Club, I think. But that has been wild, starting just talking about weather in Oldsmar, Florida, and all of a sudden the governor's calling you going, hey, what should I do?
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Good for that guy.
And it's also cool to see that our governor looks out and respects, looks for outside information to try and make a very important decision.
Yeah. And it's also cool that he doesn't outsource prosecution on people who try to assassinate the former president. But we don't need to get into that. Yeah, so cool. Shout out to Mike's weather page. I'm definitely going to bookmark that and hang on to it. That seems like a good resource. But yeah, I'm annoyed with the media, and I agree with you. There doesn't seem to be the same kind of frenzy. I went to Lowe's on Wednesday to grab some batteries and a couple extra, odds and ends. And the batteries were like fully stocked. Usually these things come in, there's not a D battery in sight. And I went to Publix this afternoon. I told you this because we're all stocked up, food, water, everything. I got meat to throw on the grill if I need to cook something. If the power goes out, I'll let some stuff defrost and cook it on the grill outside. My wife sends me to Publix today, the day a hurricane's about to arrive, because she's like, I really want some French onion soup. So here I am going to Publix. Everybody else is getting, cases of water and batteries and stuff. And here I am standing in line like a dick with a bag of onions.
Isn't French onion soup just broth with cheese on top?
Yeah, pretty much, with some stale bread in it.
Ugh.
Melt the cheese on top. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be delicious. My wife's an excellent cook. She went to culinary school and all that, even though I do most of the cooking in the house. But I felt bad. The little old lady is at Publix checking me out. And she goes, I don't know why we're open today. Even the airport's closed.
Yeah, I hope I can make it home while I sell you your onion.
You dick. Enjoy your fucking onions, you piece of shit. In any case, speaking of Oldsmar, I cracked a beer here, Matt. And I haven't been drinking a lot of beer lately, but I couldn't help myself because it's pumpkin beer season. And I got to say, I'm a sucker for a good pumpkin beer. And it's not the pumpkin. Everybody says pumpkin. It's really the cinnamon and sugar that people like. And, I'm no different from anybody else. But this is Tampa Bay Brewing Company, Gourd's Gone Wild. It has to be probably my favorite pumpkin beer. I look forward to it coming out every year. It's real sweet. It's got that brown sugary kind of, comfort beer kind of taste to it. And it's made locally right here, Tampa Bay Brewing Company. They have a location in Oldsmar, and of course they have one in Tampa and Ybor City. Great spot, great food, great beer. So I'm sipping on one of these.
Yeah, I had one of those to celebrate the first day of fall on last Sunday. It's our go-to pumpkin beer. I've got a weird one over here. It's got a cool can. It's made by Tripping Animals.
Tripping Animals? That sounds cruel.
Everhaze. Yeah, it's out of, I think, Doral.
I imagine they're tripping on drugs. You're not going out.
Oh yeah, like
the legs out of deer.
This alligator's totally tripping.
Yeah, okay.
And then one of the other cans has like chipmunks that are all high and shit. But
nice,
really good beer. But it's $20 for 4 pints.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it's going with the craft distilleries lately. This Gourds Gone Wild was on sale at Publix. I can't remember what I paid for it, but it was pretty reasonable for the 4-pack.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we played the trumpets at the beginning of the show, and that's because it's Steamroller Fight Week. Matt, the Steamroller Frivola, friend of ours, friend of the show, although he hasn't been on in a long time. I'm going to have to invite him on when he gets back from Europe. Took the whole family, including his little newborn.
I hope they have camera on Longo in France. I want to see some footage.
Yeah. Did he go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see. They should just have somebody following him around.
Yeah.
There's the
perfect.
fucking Eiffel Tower. I want to take a picture in front of it. That's what I want. So the Steamroller getting over there, he's going to take on the local guy, Fares Ziam. And when you compare the records of these two, so of course, Frivola coming off of that knockout loss at Madison Square Garden last November to Benoit Saint Denis, who happens to be headlining this card. But before that, what a tear he was on, knocking out Drew Dober, Atman Azaitar, and Genaro Valdez, all first-round knockouts for the Steamroller. So if you compare these two side by side, Fares Ziam on a 3-fight win streak, but he's not the biggest finisher. Got submitted by Terrence McKinney before that 3-fight win streak started. And I'm looking to see, it doesn't look like he has a finish in the UFC yet. Now, he is going to have an advantage here. I mean, obviously, he's been in this time zone longer than the Steamroller. I think Steamroller went over a week or two early to get acclimated. Ziam is from France, so he's more used to the area. He can get all the things that he needs, and he's comfortable there. So he's going to have that going for him. But as far as finishing ability, if this one doesn't go the distance, you got to favor the Steamroller here.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I see fights like this, I think back to our coach Bill from back in the day. Like he always said, if you're getting flown in to fight somebody at home, that means the person putting on the fight expects you to lose. But I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm gonna pick the Steamroller, obviously. I just hope this guy's got some really good striking. I just hope he learned from his Saint Denis loss, be a little bit more defensive when he's trying to close the distance, and let's go the Steamroller.
Yeah, I think skill for skill, Steamroller can hang with him on the feet. He's definitely got the better wrestling and the better submissions. Matt Serra, brown belt. And if this guy, all due respect, if he was submitted by Terrence McKinney, Steamroller can definitely submit him. So I definitely give him a big grappling advantage. I don't know what his game plan is going to be. He does love to just get in there and bang it out and throw leather. So we'll see. I think there's no doubt, win or lose, Matt Frivola always puts on an exciting fight. The guy's never been in a boring fight. And
yeah, his worst loss is one of the most exciting fights I've ever saw, and his loss against Terrence McKinney.
Yeah.
Every fight he gets in exciting, even his worst one.
Yeah. Even the fight that he went to a draw with Lando Venata, still one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. That was
the odds.
Huh?
The odds. Plus 110 for the Steamroller.
I like that. I'm going to throw a couple of bucks on him. I like getting the Steamroller at underdog money. I don't think you're going to see that too often. So, do I even have to ask who you're going with in this one?
No.
All right. Timmy Trumpets it is. All right. So moving on, Morgan Charrier against Gabriel Miranda. So I'm going to assume Charrier is French. Yes. The Last Pirate, Morgan Charrier. And this one gives me flashbacks because I had a high school French teacher, Madame Morgan, and man, she was she was brutal. She was so mean. I think she made me hate like learning languages. But I do speak a little bit of French, probably enough to get by if I were to go over there, but no interest in really keeping up with it. So my French is very rusty. But the last Pirate, coming off of a split decision loss against Chepe Mariscal back in April. So that was a close one. I'm sure he's going to be looking for redemption here against Miranda, who is Brazilian, coming off of a submission win over Shane Young. Also has a TKO loss to Benoit Saint Denis.
Bill, I think we lost you. Either you or I lost internet.
Apologies for that one, folks.
There you go.
We were looking to get this episode in before Hurricane Helene made herself known, and had a little brownout there, knocked the internet out. Matt, what was the last thing you heard me say?
I don't know. You're in the middle of making some shit up about these guys.
No, I was saying that Gabriel Miranda has a TKO loss to Benoit Saint Denis. So his track record
That's the exact
Frenchmen,
last thing I heard.
His track record against Frenchmen, not freshman, is not great. So what are the odds here? I would imagine, even though he's coming off a loss, Charrier's got to be a little bit of a favorite, being the hometown guy.
Yeah, just a little bit at minus 675.
Okay. Wow. He's a huge favorite.
Yeah.
All right. So Miranda hasn't fought in over a year. His last fight, September 9th, 2023. So yeah, I mean, good old Coach Bill's theory might prove to be correct here, where the foreigner is being flown in to lose to the hometown guy. I'd say more so than in the Steamrollers case, but Miranda does have some finishing power. He's got 16 submission wins out of his 17 wins. 16 of them by submission. Huh?
How old is he?
He's 34. I like the dog money on this, I gotta say.
Well, I was not going to bet on this fight and use it somewhere else, but I think you might be right. I was going to put $1 on Hanato by sub, but this is the same odds and probably more likely.
Charrier has been submitted. However, it was in 2015 on a show called 100% Fight.
That's not a good place to get submitted.
Yeah, he got submitted with a heel hook, and that was damn near 10 years ago, June of 2015. But Miranda seems to be a submission ace here. What are the odds of Miranda by submission? He's such a huge underdog. There must be pretty good odds on a submission win here.
It's coming in a second. Plus 1,100.
So you get plus 1,100 on Miranda by submission.
Yeah.
I'd
You
throw
want
a
to make
buck
that
on
pick? Yeah, we'll take that.
All right.
It won't happen, though, because you talked me into it.
Yeah, absolutely not. Charrier is going to win by a brutal knockout. But I mean, on paper, it makes sense. That's the problem with me in gambling is everything's logic,
Yeah.
and it's not a logical sport. There are people that are much better at gambling on fights than me, and they know nothing about fighting. That's just the way gambling works. You can't use logic. There's algorithms and playing the numbers and things like that. But to me, plus 1,100 for a guy to win by submission who has 16 submission wins.
Let's see your logic. We'll see how it pans out. But he's probably gonna get knocked out.
Yeah. I don't like the odds. But whatever. I guess that's why the odds makers make the odds that way. Because they seem to know more than me about how likely that scenario is.
Well, the next fight the guy that's getting flown in is not the favorite, is not the underdog.
Okay. So Kevin Jousset against Brian Battle.
Nope. Yes. Brian Battle is minus 170.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, the UFC is just like, fuck you, France. But Jousset is from New Zealand, even though he's got a French name. They probably call him Juice It. This guy's on a 5-fight win streak. But I understand the odds here because Brian Battle has really kind of grown as a fighter since the Ultimate Fighter. And he was coming off of that fight with Ange Lusa, where he was beating the absolute fuck out of him and then accidentally poked him in the eye in the second round. And it was ruled a no contest. And that was back in March, and we haven't seen Brian Battle back in there. So I'm sure he's been itching to get in there and redeem that one. I can see why he's a big favorite. I would lean towards him in this one as well. These guys have identical records, both 10-2. Jousset undefeated in the UFC thus far, but he's only had 2 fights. He also hasn't lost a fight since 2022. All right, so which way are you leaning on this one?
I know Jousset is a big rising star, but Brian Battle, he's one of those fighters that every time I see he's fighting, I get really excited. But then after his fight, I kind of forget about him until I see him on a card again. He was an awesome dude to watch on the Ultimate Fighter season that he won. I just have a hard time picking against that guy. He's tough as hell.
Okay, so you're going with the favorite, Brian Battle?
Yeah.
All right, I like that.
Do you remember who the coaches of his season was?
I do not.
It was Ortega Volkanovski.
Wow, that's so not memorable. I don't even remember.
That's probably the last good season they had.
What year was that?
I don't know. It was 2020, I think.
To me, the last good season was 22. That was when Connor and Uriah Faber hosted.
It was just Volkanovski fucking with Ortega the whole time and him getting butthurt.
Oh, okay.
And Craig Jones was there too, so.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, I don't recommend going back and watching it, but I remember it being all right.
All right, then. Featherweight matchup. We got another foreigner being flown in against the Frenchman, William Gomis. He's from Paris, France, and he is on a crazy win streak. Let's see how many here in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 fight win streak. A couple of those in the 100% fight league. So shout out to them. He also has a loss to Morgan Charrier by heel hook, funnily enough.
Yeah, that's weird. That was the guy that did it, probably.
Well, no.
Oh,
we were
no.
talking about Morgan Charrier lost by heel hook
It's probably the same guy.
like 10 years ago. This was Charrier won by heel hook.
Oh.
So Gomi, I imagine, is 6 feet tall, 145 pounds. That's so crazy to me. I imagine he is the favorite, but he's fighting Joe Anderson Brito, who is just a savage. He's coming off of the TKO win over Jack Shore. He's only got one loss in the UFC, and it was a decision loss to Bill Algeo. I'd say Brito would look really good for underdog money, depending what it is. So Gomi, I would think no more than a minus 200, but I think he's probably the favorite. What do you got on the odds?
Well, I think you're going to agree with my pick because Gomi's actually the plus 240 underdog.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Surprising.
Let me confirm. Yes, I'm correct.
I mean, just because of the hometown thing, and we were talking about, Coach Bill's theory with the foreign guy getting flown in to lose, I would have thought Gomi would have been the favorite, especially he's on the longer win streak. But I do think Joe Anderson Brito is the more accomplished fighter in terms of UFC wins. He's definitely been in there with stiffer competition. Like looking at Gomi's record, I don't really know any of the guys he's beaten, but Joe Anderson Brito has beaten Jack Shore, Jonathan Pierce, Andre Feely, your guy Diego Lopez. He beat him on the Contender Series.
Oh shit.
Chepe Mariscal. Yeah. So who are you going with here?
I think I just changed my mind and I'm going to go with Brito.
It's hard to get to bet against Brito, man. The guy is such a savage.
Yeah, I just changed my mind.
I'm not mad at it. All right. Co-main event. Nasruddin Imavov and Brendan Allen. This is an interesting one because Imavov from France, but he's got the loss to Sean Strickland, the no contest with Chris Curtis, and then he has wins over Delize and Jared Cannonier. He beat Jared in June, but man, Brendan Allen is just on a different level, I think. So I would imagine Brendan Allen has to be the favorite in this one. He's on a way longer win streak. He's got the win over Chris Curtis, submitted Paul Craig, which is crazy, submitted Bruno Silva, submitted Andre Muniz, submitted Christoph Jotko, submitted Sam Alvey.
Well, you're off again. It's Brendan Allen is a plus 170.
Wow. And you're wrong again, Bill. And see, this is the one on the card where I would think the hometown guy wouldn't be the favorite. More so than the last fight we just talked about. But it just goes to show what I know. I would think for sure Brendan Allen would have been the favorite in this fight.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take Brendan Allen by submission at plus 600 because you're right. He just finds a way to get it done. Like Imamov's never been submitted, but he just gets it done. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, Brendan Allen has probably submitted a bunch of guys who've never been submitted. He just got that. He's got that rear naked choke, man. He's able to get to guys' backs. He just climbs aboard and cinches it in, and that's his game, and it's super effective. All right. To celebrate fall.
Are you about to give us a PSA?
No.
Oh.
I'm just about to advertise Elijah Craig here. to celebrate fall, I'm going to pour my first sip of rye whiskey of the season. I love a good rye in the fall because it's got that spiciness to it that bourbon kind of doesn't have. And I'm a big fan of everything Elijah Craig makes, which is why I'm going to make my way to the Heaven Hill Distillery when I go up to Bardstown, Kentucky in November. It's definitely going to be one of my stops. And that's all. Just a little sip of rye whiskey before we get into the main event here. Cheers.
Cheers.
It goes super well with the Gourd's Gone Wild. Obviously, I'm taking this hurricane super seriously. I tied everything down, but, now it's time to just sit in the house, wait this thing out, see if the power goes out.
Wait till something breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all you can do is wait for the power to go out.
Yeah. And, I'm not going anywhere. I got the car locked up in the garage. In any case, a little bit of Elijah Craig. All right, let's get into this okay, so Benoit Saint Denis and Renato Moicano. This is an awesome main event. I couldn't imagine a better guy to headline UFC Paris than Benoit Saint Denis. The guy has been an absolute stud. He knocked out our friend Matt the Steamroller Frivola in devastating fashion back in November. But he is coming off of that knockout loss to Dustin Poirier, which is one of the best knockouts in recent memory, just because of the circumstances going into it, where Poirier was at the top of the heap and he really just wanted to test himself against one of these young lions. Got in there, had an absolute war, and puts Benoit Saint Denis down in the second round, which a lot of people didn't see coming. It was just such an emotional win for him.
That was such a good fight.
And
it probably didn't hurt his career at all. Like, if you're going to lose to somebody, you want to be knocked out by Dustin Poirier.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I wouldn't mind being knocked out by Dustin Poirier.
Hey, we can arrange that.
If I had to be knocked out by somebody.
Speak for yourself.
Huh?
Speak for yourself. I don't want to be not punched by that guy.
I'm saying, though, like, if you had to be knocked out, like, you don't want to be knocked out by some dickhead. Might as well be knocked out by like a good dude.
I guess.
Like, I wouldn't want to be knocked out by somebody I had bad blood with.
I see your point. We'll just not get knocked out at all. I don't think I need any of that. Oh, we lost. Froze up again.
All right. Apologies, folks. Matt, were you able to stay in the...
Oh, he kicks me out like 2 seconds after you freeze. It was like,
all right. So, lost the internet again. Obviously, Hurricane Helene is making her presence known. Just little brownouts that...
Yeah, it's because we were talking shit earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got to be it. All right. So, I guess we should try and get through this and start to wrap it up before we lose power altogether. Here I am using my laptop battery to do podcasts instead of saving the battery for my family to use. I got to figure out how to even download movies again. I haven't had to do that in so long, so many years. All right, so Benoit Saint-Denis coming off the knockout loss to Dustin Poirier, getting in there against Renato Moicano, who's on a hot streak. 3 straight wins. He's been looking great since moving up to lightweight. Only has the 1 loss. Oh, no, sorry. 2 losses at lightweight to Rafael Fiziev and RDA. But 3-fight win streak over Brad Riddell, Drew Dober, and Jalen Turner. 2 of those are finishes. I imagine Saint-Denis still the favorite here, but I've been wrong on a
No,
couple
you're correct.
things.
It's plus 285. Or no, plus 230 for Renato and minus 285.
Okay. So which way you leaning here?
I don't think I can pick against Saint-Denis. That guy's like scary as hell. You think French are pussies, but then you see that guy, you're like, nah. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just going to take him. Before I made that bet on that earlier fight, I was going to use the dollar to put Renato by submission, maybe in one of the later rounds, because I think if it gets to the later rounds, it's much more likely to go Renato's way, but I don't see Saint-Denis losing here.
Yeah. I mean, Saint-Denis got some grappling as well. I mean, he's got 9 wins by submission, and he's never been submitted. He hasn't had to use a lot of his submission skills. He did submit Ismail Bonfim in July 2023. And he also submitted Nicholas Stolze in the UFC. A lot of arm triangle submissions, if you look at his record here. But yeah,
I really like the guy. His podcast is cool. He has some good morals and speaks out for a lot of good things, but it's the God of War, man.
You're talking about Moicano.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. He's a funny dude. I like that he's, letting his personality fly a little bit more.
Yeah. Just be himself, I guess. But like when you see him being funny, but you can tell that's who he is. He's not putting on a
sure.
gimmick.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like our boy.
It's a lie from Satan, brother.
As crazy as whatever that comes out of that guy's mouth, he believes it.
For sure. All right. Obviously, I'm most excited about our boy the Steamroller fighting on this card, but the main event is excellent. Some interesting prelims. Ludovic Klein and Roosevelt Roberts should be a good one. Ion Cutelaba and Ivan Urslan. Cutelaba is always fun to watch.
Did you see? Are you looking at Sherdog?
Yeah, why?
What's his picture look like for you? Ion Cutelaba.
Oh, it's him dressed like the Incredible Hulk.
Okay. That confused me earlier, why that looked like that.
We also have the undefeated Umar Sy 10-0 against Dawoon Jung. All right. Here's my hot take, Matt. After all this card is better on paper than any pay-per-view we've had in 2024 so far.
Even better than 300? No, wait. Even better than Noche?
Yeah, it's definitely better than Noche. Not including 300.
Not including 300. Okay. Well, then I'm definitely going to agree with you, except if you take 300 out of there, I'll agree with you. I can't.
Yeah. 300 is its own entity, but I'm more excited for this fight night than I've been leading up to any of the pay-per-views so far, except for 300.
The fight night, did we say it's at 3 p.m. main card start? But
no, is it?
Yeah.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah, even better, right?
Yeah, I have a super busy weekend this weekend. I'm doing commentary for Sunset Fight Promotions again. So that's Saturday the 28th. So if you guys want to hear me do some fight commentary, subscribe to Sunset Fight Promotions on YouTube. The YouTube is a little bit hard to get to for whatever reason. When you search for it on YouTube, it doesn't come up, but I'll put a link in my Instagram stories and stuff like that. If you guys want to check that out.
So I will agree with you. So I will take the shot. But did you hear Brendan Schaub's take on Noche? He got roasted for it, but I thought it was a great take.
I think I remember seeing a clip of him talking about it. I know he didn't like it.
It's not true. He was pissed that the fight sucked. Like he didn't put big fighters on it. He's like, if it was such a big event, why weren't there big, exciting fights? And he compared it to Rainforest Cafe, which I thought was a great comparison. It's like,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, if you go there, it's a great experience, but no one gets fucking Uber Eats from Rainforest Cafe because the food, the product they serve is shit.
Yeah.
And he said that the emphasis should never be put on the arena. It should be the fighters. And if you want to put it in a cool place, that's on you. But don't expect everybody sitting at home to like it because there was a big screen in the back.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta agree with Brendan Schaub on this one. And for me, my take on it was, I'm sure it was awesome for everyone who was there. And Rogan and Anik and DC were all like, oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I was watching it on a fucking laptop. It didn't make any difference to me that they were in a dome that had like 3-dimensional video or whatever. It didn't do anything for me. It just took away from, like, I just want to watch the fights. And what I dislike about it the most is the fact that it takes away the ability of, the blue collar UFC fan to go to a live event, because these things are already expensive as fuck as it is. Now you're putting on an event that costs $3,000-$4,000 for a ticket. You got to be, it's filled with people who just have expendable income and don't really care as much about the UFC as someone who would love to go to an event and pay $50 for a ticket and see the UFC live.
Yeah.
You're really detracting from that. So they put in, I don't know how many millions of dollars to put on this event. Now they just settled the antitrust lawsuit for like $375 million or whatever it was.
Well, they didn't settle. They put in an offer. It has to be approved by this judge. I don't know what going up $40 million is going to do.
Yeah. Well, whatever the case, millions and millions of dollars going into this live event that the average fan has no opportunity to attend. So that's why I think it was bullshit.
No, the fight
I
sucked.
like the Rainforest Cafe comparison too.
And congrats to Marab too. Well deserved.
Oh yeah, man. That guy's a dog. Mark Fellows says, to counter Schaub, you could book a guaranteed banger like Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis. UFC only provides the bells and whistles, folks. That's true. I mean, you could book some big names and end up with a dud fight as well. It's not.
Well, they did have big. Sean O'Malley is a big name. Just after Ortega, it fell off to nothingness. And
yeah, and it's a shame because the rest of the card. I mean, the Ribovics and Zellhuber fight, fantastic, but nobody talks about that because the co-main and main event were snoozers.
Yeah, I nailed that pick, by the way.
Yeah, you did. Did you take your shot?
Yeah, I took half of it. It's disgusting.
What is
Kinky.
it?
Kinky pink.
We got to get your reaction here.
Oh, my reaction is it tastes like.
What did you take it while the internet went out?
No, you were watching.
Oh. Don't you know that that's disgusting?
Yeah, but I had to pick something that wasn't strong. I don't know if it's. Oh, why does that taste so bad for being so weak?
I don't know. Sponsored by Barstool Sports.
Kinky? No.
Yeah. The Pink Whitney?
No, kinky.
Oh, kinky.
I should have got that. That stuff's better.
Well, no, the whole point is you got to shoot something disgusting.
Okay, well, we accomplished that goal today.
Good.
Ugh.
All right. Was there any news things? Oh, can you roll that audio clip I asked you to get?
Yeah, here we go. Make sure it's loud.
Yeah.
These
Oops, the wrong one.
Henry, you know who I'm talking about? Henry Sunuho. Henry.
Sunuho.
Play it one more time.
Henry, you know who I'm talking about? Henry Sunuho. Henry.
You know what I love about it is because you knew he didn't know the name
Yeah.
because he's like, he paused and he's like, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, he must have saw it somewhere, but just forgot the D.
And Cejudo, like, so like adorably naive, gets up there like all happy. He's like a 1.5 feet shorter than Trump, and he's just so happy to be there. He doesn't even care that Trump just butchered his name.
What's he gonna do? But I don't know. It made me laugh too, just because I never really liked Cejudo, and yeah, I don't know.
It's just
It's funny.
I mean,
go ahead.
I'm typically against like celebrities kind of pushing political agendas. It's like, just do what you do. You're a fighter, go fight. If you're Taylor Swift, fucking sing songs. Don't tell people who to vote for, but it's okay to like just show up and be like, hey, I support this, as long as it's not like all you're ever talking about.
Yeah, if you're going to a rally, you're just going to be in front of the people that are already there to support them. It's
right. You're not, and you don't see Cejudo on his podcast or whatever just talking about.
You're not like, what's that? The lady from Paramore. Did you see the lady from, what's her name? No. Shame on you, Paramore. The lead singer laid down this week and had somebody was holding up a paper, and she gave him this big long rant about how Trump is going to take over America if everybody doesn't get out and vote.
Oh, okay.
They put it on their social media, but somebody posted the one on their social media. She's talking straight into the camera and it looks all cool, but the fan video of her reading it off the stupid paper, like, yeah, I can't stand when I go to a concert and want to talk about politics.
Yeah, it's like, that's not why you're there. You go to a concert to forget about all that shit. And you forget about all the bad things that's going on in the world. That's the whole reason to go to a live show. I want to hear some music. I don't want to think about who's going to be president or all like the bad shit that's going on in the world. Just play your songs, come out, do your encore, shut the fuck up, and go clean your guitars when you're done. Like,
but I also might be a bit hypocritical, because if Hinato gets a submission in the main event, and he's definitely going to go on a Trump rant, and that wouldn't bother me. So,
yeah, but if it's funny and it's entertaining and it's not just whining, that's another thing. Like, if you're gonna be creative about it and make light of it and be funny about it, and I wouldn't have a problem with that, no matter what side people support, because I'm one of the rare people like that. I don't give a shit who you vote for. I'll get along with anybody. And I think a lot of people will probably be surprised to find out where I stand politically, but I'm never gonna get into that, because that's not my lane. My lane is talking about booze and cage fighting, and that's the lane I intend to stay in. Every now and then,
onion soup,
huh?
And French onion soup.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to some French onion soup. It's probably stewing away downstairs. I still feel like such an asshole going into Publix. Everybody's getting cases of water, and here I am with a bag of onions on the checkout line.
Tomorrow everything tomorrow's gonna be closed, and power be out, and you'll be like, "Fuck! I wish I got some more stuff in the onions."
Yeah, at least I'll still have some of this Elijah Craig straight rye, which is delicious, by the way. I like anything by Elijah Craig, pretty much. They're barrel proof single barrels, and they're private barrels. They're toasted barrels, all excellent stuff. I love a lot of stuff that comes out of Heaven Hill, as you do as well, I believe.
Yeah, if it's got alcohol in it and isn't completely disgusting, I can deal with it.
Fair enough.
I think
We
I'm a
got
little less picky.
We got anything else besides Sanujo?
Just some quick fight announcements.
Okay.
UFC McCall, where is that?
I have no idea.
McCall. There's an event being headlined by Jan Figueiredo versus Figueiredo, November 23rd. I'd imagine the guy that wins that fight could get a title shot.
Yeah, for sure.
Then the Madison Square Garden, November 16th card, John Stipe, Chandler Oliveira 2, and Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig is on that card. So there's some good ones there.
Yeah, I like the card. The John Jones Stipe fight has really lost a lot of steam for me, though.
Yeah, who cares? But I'll watch it. I might turn that fight off and check it in the morning. I don't really give a shit. I mean, I guess I'm glad to see Stipe gets another fight and a big payday, but
yeah,
Aspinall's getting screwed.
Yeah, I'm not really interested at this point in my life. I'm not really interested in seeing anyone older than me fight. Put it that way.
Except Jim Miller.
Yeah, except Jim Miller. I think Jim Miller and I are the same age, though.
Oh.
Mark Fellows says that Macau is off the coast of Hong Kong.
And we must have been pronouncing it wrong, too, because that's how I pronounced it.
Probably Macau.
Macau.
That sounds a little more Chinese.
Anyway, that'll be a weird time card.
Sure.
And then the last one is UFC 310's December 7th. Right now, the main event is Anthony Smith, Dominic Reyes.
Ooh.
I'm hoping that changes. But there is a really interesting fight. It's Guida versus Chase Hooper is on there.
Yeah, I did see this announcement. It's such a bizarre matchup to me. There's an 18-year age gap between these two.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a great fight, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad matchup for Chase Hooper because here's a guy who doesn't worry about getting taken down because he's so good off of his back against a guy who can take pretty much anybody down and is great at avoiding submissions on top. I mean, he pretty much won a grappling match against our buddy Billy Quarantillo based on those credentials. Mark wants to know if the Nick Diaz versus Vicente Luque rumor is true. You know anything about that?
I thought I saw that it is on there. I wasn't to mention that I think it's on this card, but I hope not.
Okay. Yeah, that's a weird one. If Nick Diaz was going to fight again, I'd want to see him against someone who's kind of in the same boat. Like if Masvidal came back, we did Masvidal versus Nick Diaz. That makes sense. I would watch that.
Yeah.
But I don't need to see him fight against a fucking contender. What are we doing here?
He might, I don't know. It doesn't make much sense. Even to get rebooked, like I thought we would, like once they got it off, I'm like, we'll just leave it off and give him somebody else. But yeah, I hope he's in shape.
Yeah, well, that one would probably be at 170, no?
That'd be my guess.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else?
Nope. That's it.
Okay. Well, if you guys are listening from anywhere in Florida, take this storm seriously. Be safe out there. Batten down the hatches and then enjoy yourself. If the power goes out, have yourself some of those Gord's Gone Wild beers or some of that Elijah Craig rye or whatever you got to sip on. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So until next time, cheers, everybody. Goodbye.
Cheers.